Hello, Flosstube. This is Stasha, and yes, it has been a hot minute, hasn't it? Thanks to the Crazy Women Retreat and the shout out from Bougie Stitchers, who recommended that, the reason I gave for stopping making videos is kind of bogus. So I really should start making videos again. So here I am. And this is going to be longer than my regular 20 minutes because there is a whole ton of stuff to tell you and talk about. First off, yeah, the hair's not red. But that's okay because I may have to go job hunting again and it'll be red for that. But that's for another video. I want to thank Sarah Fisher King for also encouraging me to film again and for the shout outs that she gave me in her video. And I'll put the link to her video and Bougie Stitchers down below. So the Crazy Women Retreat, let's just start there. Let's pretend the last several years didn't occur. I know there's a lot of us that really wish they hadn't, especially starting with pandemic. So anyway, starting with the Crazy Women Retreat. I started doing retreats back when CATS was a thing. CATS, by the way, was the Creative Arts and Textiles show. And it was held twice a year, and it was huge. And the main thing was the marketplace and classes. And not too many people do classes anymore unless you're in one of the guilds. So like Embroiderers Guild EGA does classes, ANG does a seminar with classes. But most of the retreats nowadays aren't based around teachers and classes. They're more based around a theme and a guest artist. And that's actually kind of cool because then you can pick which retreats you want to go to based on who the guest artist is going to be. And the guest artist for Crazy Women Retreat was Hands-On Design, I believe. No, it's not. It is From the Heart Needle Art. And that is the project we got. So we'll talk about that later. But first, Crazy Women Retreat was amazing. I had a table with 5 other stitchers with me. Sarah Fisher King and her mother, Carrie Fisher. No, not that Carrie Fisher. Different Carrie Fisher, although they were born the same year. Carrie Fisher is Sarah Fisher King's mother. And then there were 3 women from Minnesota, Leanne, Gloria, and Lee. And it was Lee's first retreat. And she said the one tip that she would give to people coming to a retreat for the first time, bring double the amount of money you think you need. Because the vendors are amazing and you're going to want to buy everything. So let's start with things I acquired while at the retreat. We walked in and somebody handed us these gorgeous fans. So, trust me, you needed them. That room got really warm. So, fans were one of the things we were handed. It was a cool gift. And then I got this nice little rainbow gift bag. And it's from Lefty Laura Stitches. And I just dropped her card on the floor. So I will tell you about it later. But I'm thinking marking pencils because I ended up without a highlighter and it became really, really tough. In fact, Gloria ended up giving me this because she had 2. And I was having just a miserable time trying to figure out where I was on the pattern, and I'll show you the pattern and why. So I got that. And then Sarah and Carrie gave us these little project bags. And how does it still have chocolate in it? It is full of chocolate. And somehow I managed not to eat it. I have no idea how there is still chocolate in there. And then somebody else came by with these little bags with stickers in them. And there was another lady who came by with stickers and finger massagers. So you put that on and you massage your finger by rolling it back and forth. And it works. It feels really good when your fingers go numb, when you're stitching all day like you do at a retreat. So I got the finger massager. And then there was a lady who had stitched all these little floss drop rings. And another lady who did Uno card floss drops. Well, some are Uno, some are Dos. And I got a lady needle minder. And I got a Snoopy needle minder. And I got a Scrabble letter needle minder. And I got the I because there was no M, S, or B. And the I was in teal, which was kind of cool. And then we got the horseshoe scissor fob. And this is the pair of scissors that I got at the Stitching Sirens retreat earlier this year. And speaking of Stitching Sirens, I also got that one. And so the reason I've got these for Stitching Sirens is this goes right there. And this is, that's the scissors I took to Wyoming with me. Well, no, I took those to the fairgrounds. I was demoing at the Utah State Fair today. So this was a gift I got in my gift basket at Stitching Sirens, and it's just a little jewelry box that has stitching supplies in it. And oh my gosh, it was so nice to have this at the retreat. Extra needles. But this was just a wonderful gift to have it that I got from my gift box exchange at Stitching Sirens this year, and it has been wonderful. I don't know what I did before I had this because everything fits in there, and it's great. It takes no space in the suitcase, and you have everything, and you just throw your orts in it. Except I got this cute little ort jar with the frog contained. The frog is trapped in the ort jar as long as you leave the lid on, and you can put orts on top of him so that your frog is all contained. And then somebody was passing out counting pins, and I used it there because I was having trouble counting, which is why Gloria gave me the highlighter. And then, oh, the Boo Boo stick is just a pretty sparkly mascara wand, but it brushes, when you frog something out, you can brush your fabric and it takes all those loose threads out, and it's great. Okay, so Sarah talked about how she got her State Fair ribbon from the Disneyland State Fair. So there's a freebie table at the stitching retreat. And on the freebie table, there's patterns, there's kits, stuff people are trying to get rid of from stash. Somebody had gone into a Casper quilt shop and dropped off a box of things. And in that box were all these display ribbons. There was best of show. There was first places. I don't think there was anything under a second. So obviously this was a very, very talented stitcher. And her kids had no idea what to do with it. Kids, her grandkids. I wish I had known her story. I really wish I had known her story. I would have liked to have met this woman. Just the number of ribbons in there. And you know what? Considering the number of women I met who stitch in Wyoming, she was not the only cross stitcher in Wyoming. She was not the only needle worker in Wyoming. But she had all these ribbons. So the State Fair in Disneyland was 87, 88. And she had a selected for display, and she had a best of show. And I can just imagine what it would have been like to have one of my pieces displayed at Disneyland in 87 or 88. And to have a ribbon on it for best of show. I mean, how cool would that be? I mean, I can't even get a sweepstakes at the Utah State Fair. There's people who are so much more talented than I am in my state. So, you know, just the fact that I now have this, and I texted a picture of it to my kids and said, okay, I have acquired this. We have to come up with a family legend around it. And they have been working on that. And right now, the one that's winning is I stitched an absolutely amazing original pattern dragon and somebody stole it. So that's my story, and we may stick to it. Don't know for sure. But if you've got a story, put it in the comments. I would love to hear your version of what our family legend should be around this. Now, to give you an idea, okay, I'm going to date myself here, guys. 87 was when I got married, and 88 was when my daughter was born. So we could probably include something like that in there too, because, you know, I don't think I ever got around to stitching a birth sampler. That's it. It was my daughter's birth sampler that got stolen from Disneyland. I'm sure we'll come up with something. But on the last day, the box was still full of ribbons. So one of the other women from my table and I went around, and anything that was on the show and tell table, ribbons got passed out. And everybody with show and tell left on the table got a ribbon to take home. So I got a special exhibit. The reason I got a special exhibit is this. No, that's okay. That's the up way. This was, no. Okay, there's the top. I think that's, I don't know which way is the top, but that's okay. It's an Ink Circles. It's Ink Circles Ink Spot number 11, Celtic Swirls. And I finished this at the retreat, and it was on the show and tell table. So I got a special exhibit ribbon. I hope everybody that got one of the ribbons had fun with them and took them home and feels special for getting them. Because you know what? I am willing to bet that the stitcher who won those ribbons originally felt special when she got them. And I think that feeling special needs to be passed on. Okay, so other things that got finished, since we're talking about finishes. I got my Hyvää Joulua Ristipisto finished. Okay, so that's Merry Christmas in Finnish, and Ristipisto is cross stitch in Finnish. So this is my Finnish cross stitch kit that my mother brought me, because there is a designer in Finland that only ships to Scandinavia. I think they will ship to Germany on occasion, but they don't ship out. They don't ship to the U.S. Luckily, my mother has an address in Kotka, so I can have things shipped to her address in Kotka, and then she brings them home to me when she comes home, when she comes back to Utah. But here is my Joulua Ristipisto, and I may or may not actually get it FFO'd in time for Christmas. I'm thinking I'm going to make it into a banner with Christmas fabric on it. And that garland on top there, okay, that garland is what I was trying to follow on the pattern. And I was just having a horrible time doing it without a highlighter to mark off what I'd stitched. And that's why, oh, where'd I put it? That's why I was given this, so I could see where I was working. Okay, one of the other things that people have been mentioning, this looks like a Beanie Baby, right? This is, okay, it's full of, it's not buckshot, it's bismuth shot. So bismuth, you can't use lead shot when hunting birds, and steel shot is prohibited in a lot of states. So bismuth shot is what a lot of states require for waterfowl. Yes, my husband teaches hunter ed, and once upon a time I did too. But So this Beanie Baby has been split open, had the stuffing taken out, and has been filled with bismuth and then sewed back up, which makes it a frame weight. This little sucker weighs about 3 pounds. And so you can put him on the, oh, okay, he doesn't sound that heavy when you drop him, but you can put him on the edge of your frame and then use the edge of the table to do two-handed stitching. So I call him Chipper. His name is, I think, Spunky. Sparky. No, Spunky. Yep, his name is Spunky. So his name is Spunky, but I call him Chipper because Chipper was the dog that my husband and I had when we first got married. And then this is my other Beanie Baby frame weight. This one is not bismuth. This one, somebody had given me some frame weights out of an estate, and I just put them inside. See, Beanie Babies have a seam on the back. You just open up the back, and I put the frame weights in there. And I will actually do a video on how to make these frame weights because somebody asked me to. So I will do that. So, one more free thing and then we'll talk about haul. So there was a project bag exchange, and this was the project bag I got. It's tea. It's a tea bag. So I have a tea bag from, she was actually one of the vendors selling bags there, so it was really cool that I got one. This is Happy Stitching from Lynn's Studios. So I'll put her information down below, but it's got great zipper pull, nice vinyl, which I like. I like being able to see my projects. So wonderful project bag. Don't have anything to put in yet. Okay, and then from Stacy Stitches, except for she's changed her name. I'll put her new name down in the show notes. I got a thread winder because I have been switching to floss drops instead of I had been using floss away bags, but I'm finding on some of my older projects that plastic bags and floss have not mixed well. You know, I always knew that you don't store silk in plastic, but some of the cotton flosses have started to degrade a little, and I live in a desert, so it's dry. I can imagine what it was like for people who lived in humid climates. But that is a 12-inch thread winder with a nice channel cut out and a place where you could tie off the bundle if you needed to as well. Okay, so later on we will talk about the Stitchonomy Halloween project that I got. But haul from the retreat. First, from the freebie table. Once upon a time, I used to have this book. In fact, I stitched that and made it into a pillow for my daughter. I have this in a project bag somewhere, I think, still. But somewhere along the line, I lost the book. So I have 2 pieces of blue fabric, 1/2 stitched, of this pattern. And now I have the pattern to finish it. So that was on the freebie pattern table. So whoever put this on the freebie table, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I can finish my UFO. This one was there, and I thought, those are so cool. Those red rose ornaments from Silver Lining. I like Silver Lining. Firewing Designs. I happen to have rain and smoke, so now I have ash. Robin Rendezvous. I was thinking that one would be fun to do on canvas and do this as a counted canvas. And apparently this has Floral Star in it too. 2 for 1. I think I picked it up because of Floral Star. Probably. Okay, but I was thinking I would do that on canvas instead of fabric. And then things I bought. I got the Cricklewood Crossings 1 of 2. And then I got 2 of 2, unless I put these in the wrong order. Anyway, Jennifer told me it's going to be a 4-part series. So I've got the first 2, and she'll let me know when the next 2 are released. I got a copy of Elvira. I know this has been sold out in a lot of places. It's been a tough one to find. In fact, my normal dealer, yes, I'm a Just Nan junkie. My normal dealer was unable to get me my fix on this. So I was very excited to get this. And then I got Waxing Moon Designs Haunted House Trio. I thought those would be cute. Those would be cool. The Edgar Allan Poe treat, because Light absolutely loves Poe stitches when I make Poe stitches for them. And then, speaking of Light, I had him send me the PDF. Well, actually, I had him put the PDF of my floss inventory list into Dropbox for me. Normally it's in numbers and only shareable on Apple devices. I didn't bring any Apple devices with me to the retreat, so I had him drop me a PDF. And okay, these 2 are going to be a birthday present for a friend. So there was Mirabilia, it was 10% off. So I did a lot of stitching and broke my budget. I shouldn't say stitching. I did a lot of collecting and broke my budget. Light's birthday is March, so we have the Aquamarine Fairy. Lily of the Woods, which I did not have, and thought, ooh, that would be the perfect companion for Aida. Can you imagine those 2 hanging next to each other? And then Gardenia. My father's favorite flower is gardenia, so this will probably be stitched for me because my father doesn't care. And that will be a reminder of him. And I just loved the look of Poison Ivy. So I have Poison Ivy. And Claire was on my wish list. And Evanora was on my wish list. And now I need to go in and update my wish list. So if you were going to get me something off my wish list, hold on. Praying Mantis. Does she just not look like the perfect June bride? I feel sorry for her husband, though. And then I got the Winter Bear, which has been on my wish list for a while. And since I got the Winter Bear, I had to get the Winter Hare. And of course, the Winter Owl. And I know there's a 4th winter animal, but it wasn't there at the retreat, so I have no idea which one I don't remember what it was. And then Masked Mischief was on my list, so I picked that up. And then I just thought Masked Mischief running towards Miss Spider would be really cool. Or in between, Spellbound. And then Water Reeds. She was just pretty. And Witching Hour. So, she looks more like she needs a wine glass, not just a small bowl there. Okay, so that is all the patterns I got. Except for, we got this cool pattern bag. We got the From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. That's the pattern. that's the threads and the thread holder. Except I started stitching with these, and I know a lot of people love these threads. I'm not in love with these threads. And since the piece of fabric I have for this happens to be a 36 count, isn't that pretty? It's kind of a parchment, but it's a 36 count. I got thinking, I'm going to use my fibers to die for. So I'm thinking Alibi to replace the blue there. And then, so we've got a green, kind of a gold, and a brown. So we've got Deadly or Detective. Okay, they look close on, no, they don't look close on camera. Okay, Deadly or Detective. Do not fall off the table. Okay, so either Deadly or Detective. I think probably leaning more towards Deadly. But I'll make that decision later. Where did you come from? I've got some random threads floating through a pile. Okay. I don't know, that seems too yellow. It's more of an off gold. I like that. Yes. Just a little brown. But Miss Peach is a contender at the moment. Got another Miss Peach, but it's darker. Ooh, no. Oh, is that too yellow? I don't know. Forensics in the running right now. And then a brown. That's kind of a brown. Sturdy Rat. That's more of a bronze. That's kind of too beigey. That's Silk Stockings. Ooh, there we go. There's a good brown. Let's go with Casket. So, swapping out colors. Since a pattern is just the place to start, there are my colors for my Stitching Retreat piece. Those look good on that. I think they'll be easier to stitch with than the floss I had before. And then other things we got a corner counter for starting your piece if you start in the corners. Beeswax for waxing the thread, which, trust me, it needed it. And then Wendy also did a cute little needle book, and then she challenged us to pick a fabric that you wouldn't normally stitch on. And a lot of them she challenged to go with a higher count. I can't see a higher count anymore. I used to love higher count fabrics. My Teresa Wentzler carousel horses are stitched on 40 count. several years ago, I gave away all my 36 count and traded it for 28. And now I'm finding that I can stitch on 36 if I use a magnifier. So I've got a 36 count. But Sarah picked up a sparkly piece of fabric. A sparkly piece of fabric. I don't know, does that look sparkly? Can you see the sparklies? Maybe you can see the sparklies. And one of the women on my table, I think it was Leanne, she's like, I have the perfect piece of fabric at home. So she went and got me the sparkly fabric, and I got this fabric, and I'm still deciding which to do the needle book on. So, oh, there's where the scissors went. My travel scissors. They have this nice little top. And I got them in exchange for this cool little turtle. So, those are my travel scissors, and I had forgotten I had put them in here. And then we got a needle, which is now in the fabric. I'll put a needle minder on it later. Okay, so that takes care of the retreat patterns. But vendor haul. Let's talk about vendor haul. Live and Die in LA. I got this one. Because if I'm going to stitch Mirabilia Blackbird on something that looks like a swamp, and I'm still looking for the perfect fabric, I don't know. That's kind of swampy. But she barely fits on a fat quarter on 32 count, and this is 28. So I knew I needed a half. So maybe it's this one. Maybe it's this one. This is London Fog. So maybe it's this one. This was Snow Flurries. But it kind of looks swampy to me. There's the filming itch. Okay, this is on Thin Ice. And this one is not named and only sold at the retreat because she doesn't think she could ever reproduce this, because the formula she was going for was supposed to be very much a brown beige, and it showed up kind of green. So I may end up using this as the swamp. I have to admit that right now it's between these two. Okay. So that's all the haul. So the Stitchonomy box. Shall we open the Stitchonomy box and see what's in it? Because it's still a Halloween mystery. Do not do this. Do not cut paper with your fabric cutter. I'm only doing this because I don't want to stop the film and go downstairs, because I don't like to edit and I don't want to put things together. So, we are opening the Stitchonomy box here, live, on film. So, here's the page telling me what's in it. Here's the package. Here are the floss drops. Those are actually kind of cute. Washi tape. Here are the threads. Those look very Halloween-y, don't they? Here's the needle minder. Instead of rest in peace, whip. Oh, I like that. That is cool. That is a cool needle minder. I'm assuming that could be a floss drop. I'm not sure what it is. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read it. We have a cute ghost stitcher sticker. And the fabric, which will need to be ironed. And will probably go into stash because, I don't know. It's Aida. But I don't know if that's 14 count Aida. That may be a 16 count. If it's a 14 count, it will, no, it's a 14 count. So this will probably go into the stash, and I'll probably use something else for it. So that is the unboxing. And that is pretty much everything I have. Except, okay. So the last time we talked, I was switching jobs. And I've done that a couple times since the last time we talked. But I also got into true crime. And I know there are a lot of other stitchers that are also into true crime. So I am happy to talk about any of the cases y'all want to talk about. But I'm probably going to kind of share what I know about the cases in the Intermountain West, because these are local. And the thing is, I'm probably not getting anything different from the rest of you. So the one that's currently the hot topic locally is Ruby Franke. The, I guess it's called trad wife. I just used to call it lifestyle porn. She did a show called 8 Passengers, where it was her and her husband and her 6 kids. And recently she threw her, 13 months ago, she threw her husband out. And, okay, we're going to talk true crime. So I'm not going to go back to stitching. If you do not want to talk about true crime and you need trigger warning that this case is going to be about child abuse, here's your trigger warning. Now's the time to turn off if you don't want to talk about true crime. Okay, just fair warning. So Ruby Franke kicked Kevin out of the house, told him he had to block the kids, that this is the only way they were going to save their marriage. And then she moved in with this chick who's supposed to be her therapist, but doesn't have a therapy license, in southern Utah. Okay, mind you, she's got 2 kids that are grown and out of the house. She left 2 kids home alone in Springville, where she normally lives. And she moved 4 hours away with 2 kids into this Jody Hildebrandt's house in Ivins, Utah. Or near Ivins, Utah. It's a little bedroom community outside of St. George. So she's 4 hours away from 2 of her kids that she's just abandoned in their house. They have no way to contact their dad because Ruby made Kevin block the kids' numbers. She has separated them from the rest of the family. So there's nobody these kids can contact. She's just abandoned them in Springville. But that's not the charge. Those aren't the charges that she's been arrested on. She's been arrested on the fact that the 2 kids that she had living with her near St. George had been starved and were dehydrated and had been bound with duct tape and kept prisoner in the house. And the 12-year-old managed to escape the house and get to a neighbor. And oh my gosh, guys, the 911 call. KSL TV has the 911 call. And it is just heartbreaking to hear this neighbor and his companion talk about the condition this child is in. And they're like, yeah, you better send paramedics. But I just thought it was really interesting that Will Wheaton has commented on the Ruby Franke case. And I know I've got a pair of reading glasses here. Just because I can't. Oh, by the way, this shirt goes with the true crime thing. So I'm wearing my true crime shirt. Okay, so Will Wheaton, commenting on the Ruby Franke case, said, we need rules, oversight, laws, and systems in place to prevent abusive parents from exploiting their children this way. As bad as it was for me because of my abusive and exploitive parents, at least I had some protections for my union, SAG, and the state labor laws. These children who are exploited by their parents to create online content have literally nobody looking out for them, and we need to change that. And you know what? Kudos to Will Wheaton for saying that, because these momfluencers, or whatever you want to call them, some of them have turned religion into a competitive sport. It's all about, let me be better than you. And I've heard it called lifestyle porn more than once, and that's really kind of what it is. So, arraignment for the bail hearing for Ruby and Jody is September 21st. So I'll be watching for that. Other cases that we have going on right now, the Corey Richins case is about an hour from my house. For those of you who haven't heard of Corey Richins, she was a real estate agent and investor, developer who was running into money problems, and suddenly her money problems almost ended when her husband died of a fentanyl overdose, despite not being a drug user. Except it turns out that prior to his death, he had changed his will to make his sister the executor instead of his wife. But on the day that his body was found, his wife, who he had filed for divorce, but she hadn't, I don't know, there's some confusion if she had been served yet or hadn't been served, but he had at least talked to a lawyer about filing for divorce. She was found trying to break into the safe in his office to get the cash that she needed for a real estate deal that was closing that day. And then she gets with a ghostwriter and writes a book about grief that she's been making money off of. And it's coming out that with phone conversations and some of the things they've tracked, she's probably the person who killed her husband by feeding him a fentanyl-laced Moscow Mule. Yeah. So we've got that one coming. So she's being held without bond and is still in jail in Wasatch County, which is just a few miles from, it's up a hillside. It's in the next valley over. Okay, nothing going on with Chad Daybell's case until next April. At least probably nothing going on, except for Lori, his current wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, is being extradited to Arizona, and that is a hot mess of a rabbit hole if you've gone down that one. The two things that really hit me from Lori's trial were when they had the officer from Hawaii on and they asked him about the sticky note with names on it, and he goes, oh yeah, those are World of Warcraft characters. Wait, Chad's evil spirits are World of Warcraft characters. Makes me wonder if, given what Lori's attorney said at the trial about this all being a game, that maybe Lori and Alex took too seriously? if that's what's going to happen. The thing is that the autopsy picture they showed of the bruising on Tammy Daybell's body, my husband took one look at that and said, "Oh, that's a two-person strangulation." He didn't even know what I was looking at the time. But he took one look at that, and that's, being a military man, that's the first thing that came to mind, is that's a two-person strangulation. So, I don't think Chad's going to be able to say he was completely innocent if it was a two-person strangulation. But we'll see what happens in April. After all, he is entitled to a fair trial. So that's one of the reasons why, okay, I don't know anybody in the jury pool. I doubt there's anybody in the jury pool that listens to my channel. I mean, I only had 200 views on most of my videos. But still, I don't want to do anything to taint that jury pool, because if he's guilty, he deserves to go down. Because that's 2 kids and 2 spouses. And that's not fair. Other cases that are going on locally. We have the Idaho 4 and the hot mess that is Brian Koberger, who is trying to get the DNA thrown out and trying to claim that Idaho officials did not follow proper procedures. And the hearing on cameras in the courtroom was supposed to be this week. I have not listened to anybody who said anything about it. I'll probably go find the actual courtroom tape on it. I'm finding rather than listening to commentary, I really enjoy watching the actual courtroom stuff. Luckily, I was able to work from home during the Lori Daybell stuff, and in between meetings, it was kind of background stuff going on while I was working on Gantt charts and other fun stuff at work. Normally I listen to focus music. It's kind of interesting listening to the trial and as focus in the background. Okay, so other cases that probably, those are the ones that locally that have gotten national news. It was a quick blip, but then it was gone, was the Haight family in Enoch, Utah, where in 2020, the Haight family was investigated for child abuse. Again, here we are, Utah and child abuse. And then the father appears to have annihilated the family and then killed himself. And you can tell the obituary was written by his mother, who called him a wonderful man. And honey, I'm sorry, but anybody that shoots their family and then shoots themselves is not a wonderful man. He's challenged and has issues. And we have another case on the Enoch's down in the southern end of the state. Up in the northern end of the state in Davis County, we had a case in May that I'm not sure where the trial stance is on that, but Anastasia Stevens and her parents were shot, along with the 3 family dogs. And the sad thing is that he will probably get more jail time for the 3 family dogs than he will for the 3 people. He deserves jail time for shooting his I don't know if she was a wife or just a girlfriend, but for shooting his significant other and her parents. He deserves jail time if he's guilty. Don't know if he's gone to trial yet. But then to go back and shoot the dogs as well, and he'll probably get more time for the dogs. To me, it's just a sad commentary that human life is not as important as animal life. But to get him off the street, whatever needs to be done to keep society safe from him. So, those are my local cases. Those are the things I've been following. I'll admit, I probably need to go do a little digging to see what the status is on Anastasia's case. I have not seen anything in the news since his arrest, so I don't know what don't know what's going on with his arraignment or trial or anything. But I will do some digging there and see where we're at. And that's it for me tonight. I did a demo at the Utah State Fair yesterday. I entered 3 pieces and all 3 got blue ribbons in their categories. And Alicia Hone exhibited quite a few pieces, and she got ribbons on practically everything she had. And Sarah Dockstetter got a blue ribbon on hers. And Yvette Ungrit had 3 pieces that I saw that she had blue ribbons on. And by the way, Yvette is a designer and has done some very Utah-specific designs that are really cool. And that is my... Oh, no. While I was at the Utah State Fair, things were kind of confusing, so I ended up sharing a table with the Bobbin Lace ladies. And the Bonneville Tatters were behind us, so I may be picking up another hobby. Maybe. I don't need another hobby. But anyway, Flosstube, it's good to be back, and we'll see how regular I make this. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful, fun time stitching.